American Samoa is the single hardest place to reach in the entire United States. A chain of volcanic islands south of the equator with a national park and beaches that most Americans have never heard of. Before you book anything, here is everything you actually need to know before you go. We are covering entry requirements, getting there, the best areas to stay, safety, real costs, the best time to visit, and the mistakes first-timers keep making. From the jungle-covered peaks ringing Pago Pago Harbor to the pristine coral reefs off Ofu Island, American Samoa packs an entire South Pacific adventure inside U.S. territory. Save this video before you start booking flights, because we are answering the questions people actually search before landing in this remote corner of the country. Let us start with entry requirements, because this is the detail that trips up nearly everyone. American Samoa is a U.S. territory, so American citizens do not need a passport or visa to visit, only a valid government photo ID. That said, bringing an actual passport is still smart, since airlines occasionally ask for one, and it makes any side trip to independent Samoa or Fiji far simpler once you are already out in the Pacific. Now here is the genuinely unusual part that surprises even seasoned travelers. People born in American Samoa are U.S. nationals, not automatic U.S. citizens, a legal status that exists nowhere else in the 50 states. That distinction means American Samoans can live and work anywhere in the United States freely, but cannot vote in federal elections unless they separately naturalize as citizens, an anomaly rooted in old insular case law. For visiting tourists, this quirk changes nothing practical. U.S. citizens simply show a real ID-compliant photo ID at the airport and travel exactly as they would to any other domestic destination. International visitors from outside the United States, however, need to check requirements carefully, since American Samoa actually maintains its own separate immigration entry rules distinct from the rest of the U.S. immigration system. Because it functions like its own customs zone, American Samoa is technically outside the U.S. customs territory. So even U.S. citizens should expect a light customs and agriculture screening on arrival and departure. There is no currency exchange to worry about. The U.S. dollar is the only currency used everywhere on the islands. One small convenience amid all the other unusual rules. Vaccination requirements are minimal for most travelers, though checking current CDC guidance for the South Pacific region before departure is worth the 5 minutes it takes. If you plan to continue on to independent Samoa, Fiji, or elsewhere in the Pacific, remember, American Samoa's entry rules do not carry over. Each neighboring nation has its own separate visa policy. Always double-check current TSA identification requirements close to your travel date, since federal Real ID rules have shifted in recent years, and standard licenses without the Gold Star face restrictions. Duty-free shopping exists at Pago Pago's airport for onward international connections, though most U.S.-bound travelers heading home will not need to think about customs declarations at all. Getting to American Samoa is genuinely the hardest part of this entire trip, and it deserves real planning attention before anything else you read in this guide. Only one airline flies here. Hawaiian Airlines operates the sole scheduled route into Pago Pago International Airport, connecting through Honolulu just a few times each week, not daily. That limited schedule means your entire itinerary has to bend around whichever days those flights actually run. So book your outbound and return dates before locking in anything else. Missing your return flight here is not a minor inconvenience like it might be elsewhere. With only a couple of flights a week, a missed connection can strand you for days. Once you land on Tutuila, the main island, rental car infrastructure is limited. Only a small handful of local agencies operate, so reserve well ahead rather than expecting to arrange one on arrival. Public buses called AIGA buses, brightly painted and privately owned, run informal routes around Tutuila, and are a genuinely fun, cheap way to get around once you learn the general patterns. Roads on Tutuila hug the coastline and wind through mountain passes. Driving is manageable but slow. Distances that look short on a map can take much longer than expected. Reaching the outer islands like Ofu and Ta'u requires a separate small aircraft hop or an infrequent ferry, and that inter-island schedule is even less predictable than the main international route. Because flights to Ofu run only a few times a week and can be weather-dependent, build serious buffer days into any plan that includes the outer Manua Island group. Taxis exist around Pago Pago but are not as plentiful as in a typical U.S. city. Arranging transport through your guest house host in advance is often more reliable than hailing one. Walking works well within Pago Pago itself and many coastal villages, but the island's mountainous terrain makes walking between villages genuinely impractical for most visitors. Given how few flights exist, most experienced visitors recommend building at least a week into your trip. Arriving with only a couple of days risks losing much of it to flight scheduling alone. Accommodation options here are genuinely limited compared to almost anywhere else in the United States, so understanding your realistic choices before booking matters more than usual. Pago Pago and the surrounding harbor villages on Tutuila offer the largest concentration of places to stay, mostly small guest houses and family-run inns rather than international hotel chains. Tutuila is the main island and the practical base for most trips. Home to the airport, the territorial capital, the largest grocery stores, and easiest access to the National Park Visitor Center. Staying in or near Pago Pago puts you within reach of hiking trails, the main market, and most restaurants, while still surrounded by the dramatic jungle-covered peaks the harbor is known for. Ofu Island, part of the remote Manua group, offers the outer island beach experience. A tiny number of guest rooms sit near what many consider the most beautiful beach in the territory. Staying on Ofu means embracing genuine isolation, limited electricity hours, simple meals, and no real nightlife. A trade-off most visitors happily accept for that stretch of empty white sand. Guest houses across American Samoa tend to be family-operated and simple rather than luxurious. Expect clean, basic rooms and warm hospitality over resort amenities or room service. Booking ahead is essential everywhere here. Not because places sell out to crowds, but because there are genuinely so few rooms available that a handful of visitors can fill a village's capacity. First-time visitors with limited days should base themselves entirely on Tutuila near Pago Pago. The flight logistics to reach Ofu simply are not worth it on anything shorter than about a week. Travelers with more time and flexibility should absolutely add a few nights on Ofu. It delivers a genuinely different, far quieter side of American Samoa than anything on the main island. Camping is not a standard tourist option here. Most land is communally owned by villages, so any overnight stay outside a licensed guest house requires explicit local permission first. Now let us talk safety. American Samoa is genuinely one of the safest destinations you will find anywhere in the Pacific. Violent crime against tourists is extremely rare across the territory. Petty theft is uncommon but not unheard of. Standard precautions like not leaving valuables visible in a parked rental car still apply here just as they would anywhere else. The bigger practical risks here are environmental rather than criminal. Strong ocean currents, sharp coral, and steep jungle trails cause far more visitor injuries than any human threat. Hiking trails through the national park can be steep, muddy, and poorly marked in places. Sturdy footwear and telling someone your planned route are genuinely worth the effort. Emergency services exist but are limited compared to the mainland. The territory has one main hospital on Tutuila, and serious medical emergencies often require evacuation to Hawaii. Given that limited medical infrastructure, travel insurance with medical evacuation coverage is genuinely one of the smartest purchases you can make before a trip this remote. Tap water on Tutuila is generally treated and considered safe, though many visitors still opt for bottled water on the more remote outer islands where infrastructure is thinner. Sun and heat present a bigger everyday risk than crime for most visitors. Intense equatorial sun paired with high humidity catches first-timers off guard fast, so hydrate constantly. Cyclone season runs roughly November through April, so check storm forecasts closely if your trip falls in that window. since American Samoa sits squarely in the South Pacific cyclone belt. Cell coverage exists around Pago Pago and larger villages, but drops off quickly in more remote areas and on Ofu, so do not count on reliable signal for navigation everywhere. Respecting village land and customs is itself a safety consideration. Wandering onto communal village land without acknowledgement can create real friction. More on that in the culture section ahead. Overall, most visitors to American Samoa encounter nothing more serious than a sunburn or a missed connecting flight. Its reputation as a safe, welcoming destination is well earned. American Samoa is not a cheap destination. Limited tourist infrastructure and the near monopoly on flights push prices higher than many visitors expect from a U.S. territory. Round-trip flights from Honolulu often run well over $1,000. Since Hawaiian Airlines faces essentially no competition on the route, prices rarely drop the way a competitive market would allow. Budget travelers can expect to spend roughly $80 to $120 a day covering a simple guest house room, basic meals, and local Aiga bus transport around Tutuila. Guest house rooms on Tutuila typically run $60 to $150 a night, while the handful of rooms available on Ofu tend to sit at the higher end of that range given their scarcity. Food costs can add up quickly since much is imported. A simple restaurant meal in Pago Pago often runs $12 to $20, though local market produce and fish are noticeably cheaper. Rental cars, when available, typically run $50 to $80 a day, and given the limited number of agencies, booking ahead often matters more than comparing prices. Inter-island flights to Ofu at a meaningful cost, often close to $200 round trip on the small aircraft that serve the Manua Group, worth budgeting for early. National park entry itself is free, a genuine rarity among U.S. national parks, since the National Park of American Samoa charges no admission fee to visitors. Sales tax and general cost of living run higher than much of the mainland due to shipping costs for imported goods. Factor that into any grocery or souvenir budget. Tipping is not a deeply embedded local custom the way it is on the mainland, though it is increasingly appreciated at guest houses and restaurants serving tourists. A few dollars goes a long way. Altogether, a comfortable week in American Samoa covering flights, guest houses, food, and a side trip to Ofu typically lands between $2,500 and $4,000 per person. Credit cards are accepted at larger businesses in Pago Pago, but far less reliably in villages and on the outer islands, so carrying enough U.S. cash is genuinely essential here. American Samoa runs on 2 seasons rather than 4, a drier season and a wetter season, and understanding that split matters more here than in most tropical destinations. The dry season runs roughly May through September, delivering the most reliable sunshine, lower humidity, and calmer seas, generally considered the best window for a first visit. The wet season covers the rest of the year, October through April, bringing heavier rainfall, higher humidity, and the added risk of tropical cyclones during the peak months. Because cyclone risk peaks within that wet season, most experienced travelers deliberately plan trips inside the May through September window to avoid weather-related disruptions entirely. Water temperatures stay warm year-round regardless of season. Snorkeling and diving conditions remain good outside of active storm periods. One advantage over destinations with a real cold season. Flower Festival and other local cultural celebrations bring extra color and community energy at various points through the year. Worth checking the territorial events calendar if timing matters to you. Given the already limited flight schedule, avoid stacking cyclone season risk on top of an already inflexible itinerary. A canceled flight during a storm can strand travelers for days. Humidity stays high essentially year-round, even in the drier months. So pack for constant warmth and moisture regardless of exactly when you choose to travel. Overall, June through August tends to offer the best balance of reliable weather, calm ocean conditions, and lower cyclone risk for a first-time visit to American Samoa. Because there is no real high tourist season here. The way there is in most destinations, Prices and availability stay relatively consistent throughout the dry season months. Whale watching season, roughly July through October, adds another reason to visit during the drier months. Humpback whales pass through South Pacific waters near the islands. Whatever season you choose, book Hawaiian Airlines flights and any OFU accommodation well ahead, since limited seats and rooms fill fast regardless of time of year. The National Park of American Samoa is the essential centerpiece of any visit, and remarkably, it is the only U.S. national park that sits entirely south of the equator. The park spans 3 separate islands, Tutuila, Ofu, and Tau, protecting rainforest, coral reefs, and traditional villages, offering a genuinely different national park experience than anything on the mainland. Ofu Beach, inside the national park boundary, consistently ranks among the most beautiful and least crowded beaches anywhere under the American flag, with turquoise water and dramatic volcanic peaks behind it. Pago Harbor itself is a genuine sight, one of the deepest natural harbors in the South Pacific, ringed by dramatic jungle-covered peaks that rise almost straight from the water. Mount Aloha offers one of Tutuila's best hikes, a steep trail rewarding hikers with sweeping views over Pago Harbor and the surrounding rainforest-covered ridgelines. Traditional villages across Tutuila still operate under the Fa'a Samoa system of communal land and chiefly authority, and respectful visits offer a genuine window into a living Polynesian culture. Snorkeling and diving off Ofu and the surrounding reefs reveal some of the healthiest coral in the South Pacific, largely protected by the island's sheer remoteness from mass tourism. The Gene P. Hayden Museum in Pago offers a compact but worthwhile introduction to Samoan history and culture for visitors wanting context before exploring further. Vaitugi Village on Tutuila's south coast features dramatic lava rock cliffs and blowholes where waves crash against volcanic rock, a striking and easily accessible coastal stop. Fagatele Bay, a former volcanic crater now flooded by the sea, protects some of the territory's best preserved coral reef, reachable by a short but steep hiking trail. Tau Island, the most remote inhabited part of the territory, includes Lata Mountain, the highest point in American Samoa, a genuine adventure destination for visitors with real time and flexibility. Watching the sun rise over Pago Harbor from a hillside viewpoint is one of the simplest, most memorable experiences available here, and it costs absolutely nothing. Samoan culture here centers on Fa'a Samoa, the Samoan way, a communal social system built around extended family, village chiefs, and shared land that shapes daily life across the territory. Most land in American Samoa is communally owned by villages and families rather than individuals, a legal structure that has actually helped preserve the island's natural beauty from overdevelopment. The umu, a traditional earth oven using hot stones, remains a common way food gets cooked for family gatherings and celebrations, producing tender, smoky results worth seeking out. Taro, breadfruit, and palusami, a dish of coconut cream wrapped and cooked in taro leaves, form the backbone of traditional Samoan meals worth trying at any local gathering or restaurant. Sunday is genuinely different here. Most businesses close and villages observe a quiet day centered on church attendance and family time. Plan around it rather than fighting it. Dress modestly when visiting villages, especially covering shoulders and knees, a sign of respect that is genuinely appreciated given how central village life remains to local identity. Photography etiquette matters more here than in most tourist destinations. Always ask permission before photographing people, homes, or church services, since villages are living communities, not attractions. English is widely spoken alongside Samoan, especially in Pago and tourist-facing businesses, though learning a few basic Samoan greetings is warmly received by locals. Removing shoes before entering a home or traditional fail, an open-sided house, is standard courtesy, one of many small customs worth observing to show genuine respect. Chiefly titles and village hierarchy still shape social interactions in meaningful ways. Visitors are not expected to navigate this fully, but acknowledging its importance goes a long way. Kava ceremonies, a traditional kava-style drink, mark important village occasions, and being invited to observe or participate is considered a genuine honor extended to respectful visitors, and embrace a notably slower pace of life here. Called island time by residents themselves, schedules run more relaxed than mainland expectations, a feature rather than a flaw for most visitors. The single biggest mistake is not planning around the limited flight schedule. Arriving without confirming exact Hawaiian Airlines departure days can leave visitors stranded or forced to rebook at real expense. Underestimating how few seats exist to Ofu leads to disappointment. That inter-island route runs infrequently and can sell out or get weathered out, so book it early rather than assuming it will work out. Disrespecting village land and customs, wandering off marked paths onto communal property, or photographing people without asking, creates real friction in a culture where village land and privacy carry serious weight. Assuming this trip works like a typical Pacific Island vacation trips visitors up, American Samoa has minimal resort infrastructure. This is genuine cultural and natural travel, not a resort getaway. Not bringing enough cash catches visitors off guard. Credit cards are unreliable outside Pago Pago's larger businesses, and ATMs are scarce on the outer islands entirely. Ignoring Sunday closures frustrates travelers who show up expecting normal business hours. Most shops and services shut down for the day. Plan meals and activities around it in advance. Skipping travel insurance with medical evacuation coverage is a real gamble given how limited local hospital capacity is for anything beyond routine care. This is not optional here the way it might be elsewhere. Underpacking for humidity and sudden rain leaves visitors uncomfortable fast. Even in the dry season, a light rain jacket and quick dry clothing genuinely earn their space in your bag. Trying to see everything, Tutuila hikes, the national park, and Ofu in under a week leaves visitors exhausted and at the mercy of a flight schedule that will not bend to a rushed itinerary. Forgetting sun protection for reef-safe reasons matters too. Standard sunscreen can damage the coral reefs. The territory works hard to protect pack reef-safe sunscreen specifically. Assuming cell service will work everywhere leads to frustration. Coverage drops off fast outside Pago Pago. Download offline maps and let people know your plans before heading into remote areas. And underestimating just how remote this destination truly is surprises even well-traveled visitors. American Samoa demands patience, flexibility, and genuine respect that a typical vacation does not require. American Samoa is best for travelers who genuinely want to say they have been somewhere few Americans ever visit. This is the most remote, least touristed corner of the entire United States. Nature lovers and hikers find a rare combination here: an untouched national park, pristine coral reefs, and dramatic volcanic peaks, all reachable without leaving U.S. soil or needing a passport. Culturally curious travelers who want to genuinely engage with a living Polynesian culture rather than observe it from a resort will find Samoa village life endlessly rewarding here. Travelers seeking an all-inclusive resort experience should look elsewhere entirely. American Samoa offers guest houses and village hospitality, not swim-up bars or organized resort activities. Flexible travelers with real time to spare do best here. The limited flight schedule rewards patience and punishes anyone trying to squeeze this into a tight, rigid itinerary. Photographers and divers chasing untouched landscapes will find genuine reward in Ofu's beaches and the surrounding reef systems, largely spared the crowds that affect more accessible Pacific destinations. Families with young children may find the logistics genuinely challenging. Limited medical infrastructure and long flight connections through Honolulu make this a better fit for more experienced travelers. In the end, whether American Samoa is right for you comes down to one question. Are you drawn to genuine remoteness and cultural immersion over convenience and comfort? History and geography enthusiasts will appreciate the unique legal status alone. Few places let you stand on U.S. soil while experiencing an entirely distinct South Pacific culture and legal system. Budget-conscious travelers should approach carefully, given the high flight costs and limited competition. This is a meaningful financial commitment rather than a casual weekend getaway. And travelers craving a true, off-the-beaten-path adventure within the United States will find American Samoa is about as far off that path as this country genuinely gets. That is everything you need to know before visiting American Samoa in 2026. From entry requirements to knowing exactly what to skip. Which island are you most excited to explore? Tutuila for the harbor and hikes, or Ofu for the beach? Tell us in the comments below. If this guide helped you plan your trip, please like and subscribe for more honest, in-depth travel guides from our small channel. Fa'afatai for watching, and aloha from Kahana Designs. Until next time, safe travels and sweet dreams.